So let me first of all congratulate Dr. Kumkum Rai for having introduced as a private member's bill a very progressive piece of legislation. As Mr. Jairam Ramesh was just mentioning, over the last few years, ever since this campaign for equality in terms of property rights, equality in terms of various rights as far as the women in our society is concerned, this campaign has built up. There has been a periodic review in the society itself as to the kind of changes which we require to bring about in the system. There are broadly two challenges before us. The first challenge is that have we kept pace with the changing times and updated our laws to bring about and actually confer the right of equality? And the second challenge really is, even through legislation, when we are able to implement the principle of equality, is the social environment of the society still accepting those legislations and implementing those legislations? Let me start with the second point first. It was in the late 1950s that the amendments to the Hindu law were made. In those amendments, several rights of equality in terms of parental property were conferred upon the Hindu women. Even today, 45 years later, we still find that the social environment of the society has not readily implemented what has been the mandate of the laws made by this parliament. I therefore feel that there has to be a two-pronged attempt. One attempt, of course, is to keep the changes in the law with the pace that it requires, and the second is to create an adequate social opinion in the society where social pressures to implement those laws are also increased and implemented. Sir, I've always believed, and that also is the mandate of our Constitution in Article 13, Sub-Clause 2, that all laws should conform to rights conferred by Part 3 of the Constitution, that is the constitutional guarantees. Now, when the mandate of the Constitution is that all laws must conform to the constitutional guarantees, somehow we have kept, because of the constraints of our system, personal laws outside the ambit of those laws which are required to conform to the constitutional guarantees. Even judicial opinion, which had a great opportunity to accept this principle that when all laws must confer to fundamental rights, the right to equality, the right of women to live with dignity, why is it that personal laws we were able to keep out of the system and even judicial mandate did not so require? I think one of the greatest challenges for India in the years to come is going to be whether both the parliamentary system and our judicial system will bring even those laws within the conferment of Article 13 itself and enforce the principle of equality even as far as those laws are concerned. Once we are able to achieve this, one of the necessary consequences that will follow, that we will be putting on the roadmap the right to equality, the right to dignity as far as our women are concerned. You require education and educational standards to improve for women if we are to confer a sense of dignity to them. You require to confer a certain element of income upon them so that they are in a position to earn. You also require to confer a right to property as far as women are concerned. Now, one of the arguments which is raised, has been raised traditionally as far as the right of property is concerned, and this is one of the reasons why we have been lacking in our effort to confer this right, that if this right is conferred upon women and they get married, this will lead to bifurcation and trifurcation of land holdings and therefore will face resistance as far as a large number of sections of the society are concerned. Now, we have 5 states in India, the 4 southern states and the state of Maharashtra, which in relation to the undivided Hindu family has already implemented certain radical reforms. And the kind of resistance which the 4 other states are the 4 southern states. In fact, Kerala has gone a step ahead of the other 3 southern states itself in implementing those reforms. And once those have been legislated in those 5 states, the kind of resistance at times which we anticipate which may be faced certainly was not faced in those states. But the second challenge which still remains is that even after having brought the legislation to that effect in those 5 states, that's Maharashtra and the 4 southern states, the implementation process of that legislation has been somewhat slow. And therefore, sir, when Dr. Kumkum Rai has introduced this piece of legislation, I have just 2 suggestions to offer as far as the Honorable Law Minister is present here for him to consider. The first is, one of the big problems that we had been facing in our courts of law, particularly in relation to women who were not being maintained, is the absence of adequate standards of maintenance and the expeditious grant of them. Now, over the last few years, laws were changed to improve the quantum as also to provide for certain advisory guidelines in terms of time frame so that it could be implemented quickly. I think it requires to be studied whether the implementation of what this parliament has mandated is actually taking place or not, or is the process still very slow. The second factor, and I think when I see the text of this legislation, which is inbuilt in the spirit of this legislation, is how do you give a relief or a right, I don't even want to use the word relief, give a right as far as property is concerned. Now, the right to property maybe has been evolved world over in different ways. There are countries which considered the husband's house and jurisprudentially expounded the concept of the husband's house as being the matrimonial home. So it really belongs to both the wife and the husband together. Alternatively, how is it that either in the parental property or in the in-laws property or the husband's property or in both, some legislative changes to ensure a mandatory right for women, that is, tomorrow if she becomes a widow, tomorrow if she becomes separated, tomorrow if she, even if she is having a happy married life, and I hope most women do have that, if she is living in her husband's house, at least he lives there with a sense of dignity that I can't be thrown out at somebody's will. Now, once this is mandated by law itself, slowly but surely, it will take time, that has been our experience in 1957, slowly but surely, the social acceptability of this in the years is going to come. The question which I had raised about the reforms which have been made in the 4 southern states and Maharashtra, which have still not been made in the rest of the country, I would urge the Honorable Law Minister, if we would seriously consider referring this issue for some debate and a recommendation to the Law Commission itself. And the reason I state is that the whole concept of family structure in India is undergoing a change. 50 years ago, the concept of larger families, joint families was very prevalent. With each day which is passing by, this concept is getting gradually eroded. Now, therefore, allowing this concept to remain for the purposes of excluding the right of a woman in those areas, in the property rights, I think is a question which, on account of the changing socio-economic environment today, would also require a reconsideration. Secondly, sir, there are also still some legislations which have been discussed in the past in the government, in this parliament, where changes are required in property laws, in succession laws, where some aberrations to the principle of equality still remain. For instance, even when the property is not an ancestral or an undivided property, but just a joint property in which a Hindu lady has a share, she may have a right, but she is still prevented from enforcing a partition of that property and enforcing her share in it. It's only when the male members decide to partition it that she will get her share. Now, in the year 2004, does it or does it not require a reconsideration whether such a law should remain on the statute book? And I therefore go back to where I had started from. If each one of these principles we now start testing on the principle of equality, on the principle of dignity, these are rights which we have to confer on women. I don't know what, when Mr. Nariman suggested that let's have a larger comprehensive law which deals with all this, whether that's so easily possible or not. If that were possible, all of us would be too happy about it. But even if that is not possible, each one of these laws which still remain an aberration to the rule of equality, if we can really review them and think in terms of making a forward movement in some of them, I think we would be leaving a considerable amount of impact as far as the right to equality and dignity for Indian women is concerned. Sir, thank you very much. Let me again congratulate Dr. Rai for the